It's me! All right, so today I'm gonna be making white eggplant Parmesan. The ingredients are 2 nice sized eggplants. If you can get the skinnier ones, but not too skinny, they have less seeds in the center, so it won't be so bitter when you're eating it. But this size is not so bad because it's decent, but this is a perfect size, okay? We're gonna need some red mill or any type of superfine almond flour, some Parmesan cheese, and some pesto, and a little bit of olive oil. And that's it. So I'm gonna start prepping, and I'll let you know what the ingredients are towards the bottom of the video. Thank you. Okay, so I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I'm gonna start prepping the eggplant. And I'm not going to be completely peeling it because then it will be way too soft once it's cooked. And it's going to be harder to manage to pick up. So, top. So I have a baking sheet that I lined with parchment paper. And, you know, billions of dollars are invested and spent in the cooking industry, and yet they have not figured out a way to properly get you to cut out a piece of parchment paper without completely destroying this friggin' thing. And like, whatever. I digress. Back to cooking. Okay, so aside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give myself some strips like this, because the last time I made this, I kept the skin on and it was really chewy and I was not a fan. So I'm just going to have a little bit of that, plus it'll look kind of cute, look a little stripy and nice. So I'm just going to do one of these to show you what I'm doing. Okay, so the slices are going to be about about a ½ inch. I don't know if you can really see that. Once you slice them up, you're going to line them on the parchment paper, the tray with the parchment paper, and you're going to score them. Just 1, 2, 3. That's it. And then you're going to line up your parchment, your tray, and you're going to sprinkle a little bit of salt on top, and then spray the top with olive oil. I found this stuff, which is great because it's just olive oil and it has no other ingredients except for a little bit of grain alcohol, which alcohol never helps, and some soy lecithin, I don't know what that means, and some rosemary extract. So basically it's just oil, but there is a touch of soy in there, so it kind of isn't 100% keto. But once this bottle is out, I'm just going to put regular olive oil and just spritz it. So basically, I kind of got it for the bottle. But that's it. So it's going to go into a 350 degree oven that I preheated. And you're going to leave it in there until you see the tops going like a light brown. And then you're going to remove it and let it cool down so that you're able to move it and pick it up without it falling apart in your hands. All right, so let me get ready with the rest of this and I'll get back to you. I sliced up the second eggplant while the other eggplant is in the oven. I scored it. I'm about to salt and spray it and get it ready for the pan. But right now I'm just going to make the breadcrumb mixture. So I'm going to use a ½ cup of almond flour, lightly packed, and a ¼ cup of Parmesan cheese. And then I'm going to mix that up. You could season it with like salt and pepper, maybe put a couple of parsley flakes so it kind of looks like breadcrumbs. It has that look of breadcrumbs. It definitely has that feel of it. It's a little moist, but that's just the almond flour and Parmesan cheese getting together. But I promise you, it's pretty darn delicious. What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah.
You agree?
Yes.
All right.
I feel like.
You feel like? That's good.
Because I never tasted.
Okay, so the pesto I pre-made already. I didn't have extra, so I could actually make it this morning with you in the video. But it's basically basil, olive oil, pinoli nuts, garlic, and Parmesan cheese. But I didn't have any pinoli nuts on hand when I made this, so all I did was the fresh basil from the garden, about 2 cloves of garlic, a whole bunch of Parmesan cheese, and some olive oil, and I just whipped it up. But you can basically Google any pesto recipe. It's pretty simple. You can even buy it. But for the purpose of staying on keto, I kind of want to make what I'm making so I know what's going in it, other than, you know, you never really know. They can say they put this and then they put something else. So I have this pesto here. And that's it. We are ready to go. Once this is fully cooked, then it's just a layering. Oh, I forgot. Fresh mozzarella. Okay. So I have the Bella Gioso regular fresh mozzarella. It's already pre-sliced. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna slice these a little thinner because they're kind of fairly thick slices. So I'll just go in half of what each slice is, and it's just eggplant, some pesto, a little bit of a breadcrumb mixture, the cheese, and then you just keep layering it, and you bake it, and it's phenomenal. All right, so that was the other component. All right, guys, let's get this started. Okay, so I have all of my stuff ready. I have all of my eggplant ready to go. It's kind of floppy, but it's firm, so at least it'll be easier to place. I put a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of parsley flakes in here just to give the appearance of breadcrumbs. And I have my sliced mozzarella, and I have some Parmesan cheese along with a fresh jar of pesto I just made. My husband went to the store and grabbed the stuff for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spritz a little bit of olive oil on the bottom of the pan. This is, I think it's like an 11 by 9 pan, and just put a sprinkle of these almond flour breadcrumbs, and then I'm going to layer some of the eggplant, and I'm going to space it out because I'm trying to make this a 6 serving, so I'm going to stack on each other so that it would be a 6 serving dish. Okay, so we layered the first eggplant, and we're going to just take a little bit of the pesto and smear it on the eggplant. Okay. I'll show you the pan in a second. Okay. So you get a little bit of a visual of what that looks like. And then I'm going to take some of the breadcrumbs or almond flour crumbs. Okay. A little bit of Parmesan. And then slices of the fresh mozz. Now, it was kind of difficult for me to slice them thin. So if you have like a fairly thick piece, you could just break it up into little pieces. So it's going to look like this. And then you're just going to do another layer on top until you have, you know, little sections. So I'm going to use the bigger slices with the bigger ones that are on the bottom, kind of like a game of Jenga. And then as you get to the next layer, you can go smaller so that it looks nice. But it is so good. It's very fresh tasting. You don't want to put too much of the pesto because it's very powerful. It's very, very flavorful. But just enough to, you know, coat it so that each layer is scrumptious. And I have my oven preheating at 350. And it should bake for about, I'd say about 20 minutes. then I serve it with, I usually put a little salad on the side. Cheese. Have a little salad on the side, or sometimes it's just enough. It's very filling, believe it or not. It seems like a little tiny portion, but it's extremely filling. It's really, really good. If it's something different, you know, not your typical eggplant parm, because, you know, you miss the breadcrumb flavoring and you miss all that delicious goodness, and that's it. So we're going to go to the next layer. So it works out to be about 3 layers of eggplant per serving. I do have these little extra pieces that, you know, I'm going to take 2 and make a layer with. But if you have any left over, as I will, I'm just going to plop them on the bottom and let them soak up any of the delicious juices that will come raining down when it's all cooked. And that is it. So it is a beautiful Saturday in sunny Long Beach. A lot of my friends went to the beach today, and I might take the dogs and the boys for a nice walk later, just to get out of the house. But it's very humid today. Holy moly, moly, moly. Very, very humid. I'm not a fan of this humidity. So I'm being a little bit more liberal with the breadcrumbs as we're getting to the end, because that's what I'm going to really put on top. Okay, so now that we've reached the final layer, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the remaining slices of mozzarella on top, and then I'm really going to put the rest of the breadcrumb mixture on top. So let's see if we can break this up a little bit. Get this piece here. And then it will bake for about 20 minutes and be amazing. Okay, so now give it a little bit of a toasty texture. Now it seems like I have a lot, but I'm just gonna plop it in because this all will break down and there'll be a nice delicious juice at the bottom. So I'm just gonna show you what the finished product looks like. And it's gonna look like this. Okay, disclaimer. So I screwed up 2 things. The first thing I did was tell you to preheat the oven at 350. It's 400. I don't know why I said that, but it's 400. So the oven needs to be preheated at 400. It needs to cook at 400. Another snafu I did was, as soon as I put it in the oven, I forgot to put a top on it. You should put a top on it, because if you don't, the almond flour breadcrumbs will burn. So they got a little toasted. It was only in there for a few seconds, then I realized what the heck I was doing, so I took it out. I put the cover on, I raised the temperature of the oven. It will cook for 40 minutes with the top on at 400. So not 20 minutes, I was completely crazy. So I'm gonna pull it out of the oven right now and let's see what it looks like. Excuse me, Hubert. Okay. Woo, she pretty. I was good to see how delicious that looks. Okay, so as you can see, some of the breadcrumbs or almond flour crumbs, I'm just going to call them almond flour crumbs, toasted. You can still achieve that if you take the top off of the pan and let it cook for about, I don't know, maybe not even 10 minutes, a few minutes, because they cook very, very quickly. So I'm going to see if I can get a spoon, excuse me, baby, and pull it up so you can see how beautiful she looks. She's nice and soft and tender. and deliciously cheesy. So you got those little crunchy little bits from the almond crumbs, and that's it. So that I just serve on the side with a nice little salad, and I hope you like this recipe as much as I do, because it is freaking delicious. Okay, have a lovely day. I will take a picture of the money shot a little later on.